You want to protect yourself for 2 rounds and hope that he unloads everything so that he's tired. Third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Great. But then come the third, you have to start pouring it on. The problem was he never started pouring it on. He never started pouring anything on. And there's an issue. Look, we have to give him credit. He showed up. He made the walk. Most people said he wouldn't. Not us here. I said he would for this one, not the KSI one. So he showed up. One thing that I think we overlooked was he had never fought in a venue like that before. He never fought in front of a group of people like that before. He's fighting on MSG. That wasn't that big. Logan has done this now in front of 80,000 people. He has battled the nerves. And so that's one thing that I think we may have overlooked. But then come the third round and come the end of the second where Logan unloaded on him, I think Dylan's approach was, I don't want to get knocked out, because you see that now, he's mentioning how he wasn't knocked down, this and that. I don't want to be a meme. I don't want to embarrass myself. Let me just create a moment for myself, a la Nate Diaz. So you saw him trying to create moments with the guillotine, with the going down on his back, with the takedown, all that stuff. And it just became hard to watch, because if you're going to talk all that shit and really not engage, and then do that, and then afterwards claim, hey, I'm just a jiu-jitsu guy. I don't have a coach. I don't have any formal boxing training, and I beat you in a real fight. It's man, you knew this fight was coming. I had heard about this fight since May. Why don't you have a coach? That's on you. That's not on Logan or Misfits or anyone else. Why don't you have you could have been training the last few months. You were supposed to be training for KSI. Why didn't you throw a punch? Why didn't you take a chance? Why didn't you go to the body? Why didn't you do something? Why didn't you throw a jab? He was throwing half spinning back fists. And so it's hard for me to feel bad. I don't think that Dylan embarrassed himself to the point where he won't find any. If I'm Misfits, I bring him back. I try to book him again. I think he's found a lane for himself. But it was a little bit disappointing that it didn't. From the first minute of the fight, you could tell how this fight was going to go. And even if he never would have engaged throughout the entire fight, that would have been one thing. But to try to make the moment, to try to make the meme moment, that was the part where I was this is a little bit silly. This is silly and hard to watch. Now, I will say this. He does have a point. I don't know why Logan's security guard stepped in twice. He stepped in once in the fifth and once in the sixth. That's absurd to me. You cannot do that, even though it was getting a little bit crazy. This, what were we doing? Security guards are jumping into the ring. It wasn't even to the point where it was getting that bad. Now, I understand he's going to try to appeal. I would just say move on with your life. The fight was over, and don't even waste your time or your manager's time or whatever. But, that's his prerogative. Now we get to the main event, and this is the one that kind of blew me away, because then when I got online afterwards, people were shitting on me for the commentary. I was like, what fight were you watching, and how was it different than the fight that I was watching? What I saw was a very frustrating fight to watch. In fact, I found the main event more frustrating than the co-main event. They were literally clinching every 2 seconds. It was impossible to see anything. There was no engagement whatsoever. And you could blame both of them for that. And I'm okay with saying that I hold Tommy to a higher standard for 2 reasons. Number one, he's the professional boxer. From the professional boxing family, he comes from boxing royalty. You can't hold KSI to that same standard. He's the YouTuber guy. He hasn't fought anyone like Tommy Fury. He was fighting guys named Swarms and Pineda and all these guys a year ago. And so, yes, maybe I'm a little more critical towards Tommy, but also let's all forget, he said to us repeatedly, including on this show on Wednesday, including on Thursday, including on Friday, a decision isn't enough. I have to stop this guy, and if I get a decision, that to me is a loss. And then when you get the decision, a very close one, to boot, you're crying like you just won the heavyweight title. That's bizarre to me. That's the problem with diminishing your opponent's skills leading up to a fight so much to the point where we all think, okay, this guy's going to get steamrolled, and then you win by the skin of your teeth, and you're reacting like that. I thought he fought way better against Jake Paul. He didn't use his length. He didn't fight on the outside. He didn't use his distance. He didn't use his jab. And I know that KSI's style is very awkward, and it's more suited for kickboxing. And I would think that he would tire himself out by the time he got to the 6th round. You could tell he was getting really tired. And I get that it's unorthodox, but he landed some of the bigger shots, and it just seemed like Tommy had no idea what to do with it, which kind of blew me away. A lot of clinching on both their parts. I thought early on Tommy was clinching in order to tire out KSI because he is the bigger guy and he can like, rough him up a little bit. But then towards the end, I was like, guys, what are we doing? Like he can't cut off the angles. He can't evade KSI coming in. KSI trying to close the distance. I get that and eliminate the jab, but I just felt like Tommy should be able to figure that out and pop him with a couple shots here and there. In the end, I scored it 3-3 with the point deduction. I think KSI has a very strong point, and I think he has a strong case for the win. Saw some people scored 4-2. I don't know, but I thought it was a dreadful fight to watch, and I said that on the broadcast. I said this was unwatchable, and I don't know how many people would say that. And that's not a knock on Misfits or DAZN or anything like that. It was a tremendous production. I said it on Friday. I said it on Saturday, but I got to tell it like it is. It was a very tough fight to watch. And after the performance in February in Riyadh, I was expecting more from Tommy. I thought this was a mistake from KSI. I didn't think that he was at the level of a Tommy Fury. He surprised me that he was able to go 6 rounds with him and, hit him with some shots, got him in the first round and survived that. And I just thought that Tommy would do what he told us he was going to do, which was, stop him early on. Second round, third round, bigger guy, if he just sticks to his jab and boxes him, he'd be able to figure that out with his hands down. And he's doing kind of like that, like bouncy jumping jack star jump thing. I thought he'd be able to figure him out. And so, the post-fight interview aftermath was very, interesting with them going back and forth. And then we did the, goodbye. And then I went back and then I went on Twitter and everybody was like, you need to die. You should never do commentary ever again. I was like, what? What are you guys talking about? What are you talking about? But now I've seen some other people say that they, they liked it and all that stuff. And that's fine. I'm still kind of learning that side of the game. I like being in the third man role. I would never pretend to be the second guy in the chair. And then when it comes to the interviews, I love doing that stuff in the ring, in the locker room, all that. That is some buzz. I adore that sort of thing. So overall, I think that, I was talking to Mams a little bit yesterday, and he was saying that, he was obviously bummed, and I get that, but they need to appreciate what they built there. I thought that was a moral victory for KSI going the distance, and I don't want to see the rematch. I said it to him. I said it publicly. No rematch. Come on. I actually, some of the people that were tweeting me about my commentary as well, so we need to talk about
Just
that.
a smidge.
Yeah, it was constructive criticism, right? I think it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to die part.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. It was very nice of you. I was doing my best Howard Cosell, telling it like it is. But we do have to transition back to Abu Dhabi and talk about what is transpiring and what Alex Volkanovski is doing this weekend. Guy gets a call on 11 days' notice to fight the lightweight champion of the UFC, the man that he almost beat, went the distance with, was maybe a few seconds or a minute away from actually defeating back in Australia in February. Oliveira's out. He's in. Just had hand surgery. Just fought in July. Maybe fighting in January. To hell with all of that. The guy steps up like the legend that he is. And if he pulls this off in 5 days, we're talking Mount Rushmore, greatest of all time status. I don't want to hear otherwise. He's kind enough to join us for a few minutes now. Let's go to Abu Dhabi and say hello to Alex Volkanovski. What a freaking legend, this guy. Alex, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. You're in Abu Dhabi now, safe and sound. Glad to hear. Can I ask you, where were you when you got the phone call about potentially fighting on Saturday?
I was at home. So, yeah, in Abu Dhabi at the moment. But, I was at home. I was just in between sessions, I guess. I was still like, again, I'm always training, as we always say. But I was just chilling at home. I think I might have had Rain, my newborn. Might have been like holding her, just hanging with the fam. And then, Ash calls me up and he's like, you wouldn't believe it. Because we were actually trying to organise other stuff. Because I was going to come to Abu Dhabi just as a guest. And then he goes, you wouldn't believe it. And then mentioned Charles. Obviously something's up. Can you do it? And I just sort of laughed and went, all right, let's do it. You do your part, I'll do mine. I'll get ready. So I hit the boys up, and then off we went to camp pretty much.
I mean, obviously there's some business to be had, but there was no hesitation in your mind. 11 days, Do I need a full camp coming off surgery? Like, did you need to be convinced at all?
I know I didn't need to be convinced, but obviously there was a, you're still going to talk, and then obviously even weight. You're like, oh, weight, what's weight like? I'm like, nah, it's all right, I'll make it. Just a couple of things I had. Obviously, had to talk to my coach and that as well. But I was like, we pretty much said yes straight away. As in, I was like, I'm on board. Let me at least talk to my wife and Joe, and see what they said. And everyone was on board. Everyone was excited. It was it was pretty much all right, sweet. And then Ash just did his part while I literally hit up the guys at the gym, freestyle, and they said, looks like I'm doing a meat grinder tonight, which is a fight simulator. Can we rally the troops? And that's exactly what they did. So, yeah, like I said, man, the support I had from everyone as soon as we knew, it was just incredible.
Absolutely incredible. Can I ask, how much did you weigh when you got the call?
How much did I? I think I was going to say that for my YouTube channel. Maybe you just have to tune into that. And I'll tell you.
Exclusive. I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. I had to ask because I'm curious.
Sorry, mate.
No, it's okay. Your YouTube channel is killing it, and I urge everyone to go check it out. Your stuff is amazing, and I like the video that you posted. But, can I ask this? More than you usually are 11 days before a fight? I know this is at 155, not 145, but, like the amount of weight that you have to cut.
The kilograms from the day, the day before I got told, because I remember jumping on the scale and we were sort of laughing, like far out, like, you know what I mean? Laughing at how sort of heavy we were. And the next day, obviously got the call, but it was heavy then. But I mean, the weight, it was just water weight, you know what I mean? It's just weight that, for me, obviously eating well, a couple of drinks and stuff like that. But I mean, as soon as I ate pretty well, it just flew off me. So right now it's fine. But I mean, from last Monday, a week ago, it's we lost a bit, but the rest of it's going to be smooth sailing. So them numbers at the start, you're like, ooh, but again, I hold a lot of water, so we literally lost, 5 kilos within a couple of days.
Wow. Okay. And last time we spoke was right after your win in July against Yair Rodriguez, and you were scheduled to have hand surgery, and you did shortly thereafter. When would you say your hand was 100%? When did it feel 100%? How long ago?
So I got elbow surgery.
Elbow surgery. Excuse me. Elbow.
You're right. So elbow surgery. Got that. Yeah, pretty much straight after the fight, maybe a week after the fight, if that. And when was I? I remember, I think it was UFC Sydney. So maybe the week before that, or that week, I was able to start training, starting to grapple and wrestle. Because I remember wrestling with Frank when I seen him in Sydney. That was one of my first wrestles. So that was UFC Sydney. However long ago that was, and wasn't a couple of weeks after that I was able to spar. So I've been able to spar, wrestle in that for a good at least 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay. So no trepidation there that you, like, in a perfect world, you have a full camp, but you feel like you're in a good spot here going into Saturday.
Yeah, 100%. Again, what I know now from what I knew even in February, you know what I mean? It's like it was just yesterday I did camp. So everything's still fresh in my mind. Obviously, I was like, all right, we've got to check this gas tank. But I mean, very happy with the short amount of time. We all did such a great job getting me in shape. So I literally had to squeeze a fair bit in the last few days of camp, as you would say. And we did a great job. I started with 3-round, fight simulators, and then bring some sparring in, then worked my way up to 5-round fight simulators, and we're getting through it pretty comfortably. So pretty impressed. Pretty impressive, really. Obviously, as I said, I've always said if these things that do happen, I'm the guy that can take these opportunities and that, because I'm always, all year round, I'm always going to be, I can always do 5 rounds all year round. I don't care what anyone says. Even if I don't train for a year, I've been killing myself for the last 11 years, literally. You know what I mean? In the gym every single day. Even when I have time off now, you don't miss a beat when you've been training like that. You know what I mean? My experience is there, so it's not like I don't know how to fight anymore. You know what I mean? I know how to fight, so I trust that. And then obviously the preparation, I knew I'd be able to sharpen things up in that short amount of time, and I knew the base that I would have wouldn't be too bad. Because I have been wrestling, I have been doing some live stuff, some cardio stuff, and a bit of sparring and that as well. So I've still been doing enough, and I'm very comfortable with where I am. It's good, mate. Like I said, man, I don't know, like. So excited, man! All week I was so excited. Like a bit now, obviously a bit jet lag with coming to Abu Dhabi, but that's why we're trying to get the sessions. I'm about to do a session now, but we're trying to do it later in the night, like when we're going to fight. So, but other than that, mate, we've been full smiles all last week. Everyone in camp was just nothing but like everyone was just joyful, happy, and like excited to help me out, and then just with this opportunity. It's been incredible, and I think this is something that I can really take in there. This freshness of no injuries, it's exhausting going through camp sometimes. You do 8 to 12 weeks of just absolutely bashing yourself mentally and physically. Not to do that, and then again, obviously you have to get yourself ready. But I'm sort of in a position where, I don't lose fitness overnight. It takes me a long time to lose fitness. And like I said, I'm pretty comfortable where I am, and now I can take this sort of freshness. That's the word I've been using into this fight. Going in there, sort of excited, fresh, and with I don't know, like as I've been saying as well. It's like I don't have to prepare for the worst. I don't have time to prepare for the worst. You know what I mean? As I always say, prepare for the worst. 5-round war, whatever. Can I do 5 rounds? Yeah, I think I can, but I'm not going to sit there and kill myself. I don't have time to prepare for the worst. But what I do have time for is to prepare what I believe is going to happen and stick to my game plan. That's why I think I'm going to be the more dangerous than I've ever been. I've never really had this sort of mindset going into a fight. A freshness, so clear of what I need to do. Again, I can't have all these variables. If it goes this way, do this. I ain't accepting any of that. I've got a job to do, and I'm going to stick to it. And again, I want to really set a statement, take this opportunity and take it with flying colours and really set a statement.
You say prepare for what you believe is going to happen. What do you believe is going to happen?
I believe I finish it. You know what I mean? Again, I think this is, you're going to see probably one of the most dangerous Volkanovskis you've ever seen, just purely because I can't afford to do anything else. You know what I mean? That's how I'm looking at it. And I want to look at it that way. So it's like I'm looking at it like, all right, let's do this. We're going in for the kill. You know what I mean? Stuff leaving it to the judges. Stuff any of that. Let's just go out there and really set a statement. 11 days notice in his hometown. All it's all. And then I go out there and take him right out. Mate, that's legacy stuff we're talking about. This fight itself is just legacy. Go out and knock him out. That's going to be absolutely mind-blowing for the world to see. And again, I can't wait. I'm nothing but excited for this opportunity. Cannot wait for this weekend, I'm telling you.
I love the enthusiasm, and I'm not going to keep you long, but I do want to ask, are you surprised he said yes?
I'm not really. I wouldn't say I was surprised. Credit to him. I'm not going to sit there and say, obviously he's had a full camp. You've got to take credit because he knows it's going to be a tough fight. Even, he might look at it like, oh, do I fight him 11 days notice or a full camp? You know what I mean? He can look at it both ways. A full camp, all right. He's probably thinking it's going to be so much harder, blah, blah, blah. But not just that. But short notice, there's still a bit of pressure on him, right? Like he knows that what people are going to say, what people are going to think. He's like, and imagine losing to someone on 11 days, and there's a lot of pressure on him. I've been in this position before where he is in short notice. This was early in my UFC career, and mate, it's not easy. It's hard. It really is. It's hard. There's a lot of pressure. Like you can't ever. You think, oh, this guy's only got a puncher's chance. You start getting more hesitant in there, and I'm going to use that against him again. There's pros and cons. A lot of cons, but there's some pros here. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm focusing on. I ain't focusing on anything else but what I can capitalize on.
Because he is the champion, he had the full camp. He beat you in February. Do you feel like all the pressure is on him?
I do. I do feel the pressure. Again, there's still a lot of people who act like there's nothing to lose for me. You hear people that will say that, and that's a lie. Everyone knows I want this rematch. Everyone knows I want this belt. And if I lose this fight, I ain't getting a shot at the title not anytime soon, right? Let's be real. I ain't getting a rematch anytime soon either. So this is something that everyone knows I've wanted. I've been talking about ever since as soon as I walked out of that octagon with him. I wanted this rematch. But you hear about him talking about moving up, and just so much as like, what if it doesn't happen? What if this is my only opportunity? So I'm like, I want to go out there and do it. And then again, just we all know I like a challenge. There's a lot of things that make this a challenge and make this exciting and make this again, high risk, high reward. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm ready to take everything with this opportunity. So I'm looking at this as an opportunity.
What is the biggest lesson that you
I
learned?
didn't get talked into this. Nothing like that. Again, obviously, you're going to get paid and you're going to do that. And like, it's it is opportunity to get that belt. But you know what I mean? Like, that's just how I'm looking at it.
Biggest lesson that you learned from February that you are going to apply in this fight, something that you didn't know going into the February fight that you learned about him that you were looking to apply in this fight?
I mean, I probably showed him a little too much respect. I mean, obviously his wrestling's great and everything's good. Like, you know what I mean? So I showed him respect. I still got that respect. But again, right now, I can't afford to show him any respect. I can't afford to, you know what I mean? I can't afford any of that. So I want to go out there and I want to really set a statement. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm looking forward to going out there and doing.
Is it true that you were supposed to fight in January against Ilia Topuria, or at least that was in the works? And is it also true that you are still planning on doing that?
Yeah, yep, 100%. Like, that's what I mean. Obviously, the negotiations were talking. They're like, what about January? We're worried about January. I'm like, don't worry about that. Like, I've showed that I'll back. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to explain myself. I'm telling you, I'll do it. But yeah, like, you know what I mean? I guess. They're obviously, I think they're talking to people to make sure. Obviously, if I go out there and I take that I'm double champ, I want to defend both belts. I know they're like, can it be done? They think it can't be done. So that's going to have to be a talk in itself. Like really let them know that, hey, I can do this double champ. I can keep both divisions busy. So we'll see what happens after that. But I definitely plan on fighting January. But yeah, that was the plans. But yeah, that's why again I was like, man, I'll put my head in waiting. Like honestly, when I was like trying to talk to the UFC and can we please do November, December? And they're like, look, they're trying to see what they'd like. But obviously, there's a lot of other champs that need to fight. They haven't been fighting, and you got to fit everyone in, and I can't be too greedy. And so I was like, come on, and they're like, oh look, man, like we just can't. It just doesn't. The schedule just doesn't fit. And I'm like, all right, well. Unless I guess I've got a bit of time. Just enjoy yourself, but I was doing my head in, mate. So obviously, again, even when I'm enjoying myself, I'm always training anyway. But I was doing my head in. So when this opportunity came, I was like, smile on my face instantly. And yeah, mate, like I said, like even my wife could see how happy I was. And even she was excited for this. It's like she knew I needed something like this as well.
No knock on Yair or Ilya, but is there something about this history, about this guy, about the division that just gets you a little bit more up? Like that's your division, and you're just like knocking these guys off left and right. But here you're being counted out. You're taking the chance. You're the underdog. You're the guy chasing the belt. Is there something about this role that fits you and your personality and who you are better?
Yeah, no, I mean, like I know I'm always talking about it, right? Like I'm always talking about being in this position, and I do love being in this position. One thing that I was in this position the first time I fought it. People thought I didn't stand a chance, right? Where there's no way moving up. Dagestani wrestling, like I mean, like the work that these guys have done, was incredible. So everyone thought I didn't stand a chance. And then so I wanted to shock the world, and we didn't get our hand raised. We're that close. We thought we had our moment. And I remember thinking, like, man, now when we fight, right? I'm like, everyone's going to know that, like, well, they've seen the last fight. They're going to expect, a lot of people are going to expect me to win. So it's not going to be the same sort of situation. So I was like, man, so I won't get that big shock. Whoa. But I mean, now, 11 days notice, I'm sort of in this position again a little bit. And that excites me. But again, man, if anyone can do it, it's me. So, like, if anyone can be in a position to take fights of this, it's me. And to actually go out there and, win this belt and be double champ, it's me. And you know what I mean? So, again, I'm looking at this as a crazy opportunity and something that can set you up for life, really. You know what I mean? That's, as they say, high risk, high reward, right? It is that situation, but I love this situation. what it's all about.
More so the people around you as opposed to you. There was some talk after the fight about, the controversy, the IV and all that. I'm just wondering, are you at all concerned about any type of cheating on his part?
Like I've told you, I don't get involved with any of that. I'm staying away from all that. You know what I mean? Like I just got a job to do, and we'll just settle it. I don't care. I just back my skills all the way. But again, I'm not going to get into that.
Okay.
Ariel, what are you trying to do,
No,
mate?
no. I was just wondering, are you concerned? That's all. It was a big talking point afterwards. So if there was any concern, I know the USADA relationship is gone.
Mate, there's so many other things that what I mean. Short notice, obviously being in Abu Dhabi, all that type of stuff. Like, mate, at this point, I'm like, who cares? The more adversities, the better the story. So whatever.
How are they towards you there in Abu Dhabi? You feeling the love? Are you being welcomed with open arms?
Yeah, it's been great. Like, we're away, so we're not at the Fires Hotel or anything like that. Because last time we were there last year when I was just as a guest, it was pretty crazy. You know what I mean? Like it's as in, it was very very hard to go and do your thing. So we just wanted a quiet place where we could just go and settle close to the gym and do what we want to do. You know what I mean? So. Haven't been out and about, but I mean, the guys that are looking after us here at the gym are incredible. So the people that we have met have been nothing but great to us.
Okay, two last things. Is in your mind, and maybe you don't want to say this because of the type of person that you are, but do you think if you pull this off, you should go down as the greatest of all time or one of the greatest fighters of all time? Does this cement it right here? Is this it?
I mean, I'm not it's not. That's not up to me. But I mean, I'm doing these things to chase. That's what I'm trying to reach. They're them things. You know what I mean? And when you reach them things, that's what I mean by setting yourself up for the rest of your life, looking after my family for the rest of my life, and that's what it's all about. So, I mean, doing things like this definitely separates you from a lot of people. Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, so that's what I want to do. Obviously, I want to be active. I just wanted to, shout out to Easy actually, because I just seen a stat. I think he did 11 title fights from 2019 to which is just incredible. Which I remember while he was going through that process, because I was obviously champions at the same time, but seeing him be so active, that inspired me to do the same. I'm like, man, how good is that? That's what I want. I want to do that. You know what I mean? So then. That's why I was like, yeah, I want to be active. I want to, start doing things like that, which is pretty incredible. And that sort of just rolled on to now where I'm just like, oh, yeah, I just look at all these different things as challenges and all that, and it excites me. So, yeah, so I just want to give a quick shout out to Easy with that.
Yeah, and he gave you a shout out last week talking about he's going to take some time off as well. I know it's been a tough time for him, and I'm just wondering your thoughts on him saying that he's going to take an extended period of time off now. Do you think that's a good idea?
I mean, good on him. Like, look again, 11 title fights. You know what I mean? That's incredible. Like, I mean, I don't think you could find many actual fighters that weren't fighting title fights that probably have that many fights as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it'd be hard to find some fighters like that, which is just, it's crazy. So, I mean, he's been hard at it for a long time. I think a little bit of a break might be good for him. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think we're looking at maybe getting some training in together soon. But just again, no pressure of anything like that. Just come and hang out and just sort of sit back and enjoy the process of training, not just be camp back to back. So I think that's what he's looking forward to doing as well.
You're a freaking legend. You're a legend, Alex. It's really a pleasure to watch you and to cover you and see how you conduct yourself and you show up. And you're the most active guy. They're lucky to have you. The UFC is lucky to have you. A champion like you taking a fight, a challenge like this on short notice. And you say you're going to finish him on Saturday. And I think the collective mind of the MMA community will explode.
We always say that, right? You've heard me say that plenty of times. Obviously, I've got some finishes in some of the later fights. But, I mean, and you always say that, right? But, I mean, there's still so many other variables that you need to, you know what I mean? You need to worry, watch this, watch that. And you know what I mean? Where now it's like, I can't afford any of that. You know what I mean? all I can do is focus what I what I think is going to be, the best way for me to go forward. And that's why I think I'm going to be the most dangerous you've ever seen me. I think, you know what I mean? There's not going to be, I'm going to be clear. There's not going to be any second guessing in there. I'm going to go all in, you know what I mean? So I can't wait, you know what I mean? Me not second guessing myself, not hesitating anywhere. No showing respect, going in full confidence. I think this is going to be the most dangerous you've ever seen me. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm going in, man, I'm going in for the kill.
I love it. Best of luck to you, my friend. Thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it. Can't wait for Saturday.
No
and again,
worries.
thank you for coming on as always.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Much love. Good
I'm going
luck.
to get this session in, mate.
Okay.
I'll see you later.
Go get him. There he is. Alexander the Great getting his session in. I mean, what a guy. It's very reminiscent. I talk about Ange Postecoglou, the manager of Tottenham, and he always refers to the media as mate. And he's this guy, like, this guy's the featherweight champion of the world, just chilling in between sessions, taking a fight on 11 days notice against Islam Makhachev. And he's talking like you or I are about to go play pickup in the park. Yeah, nothing to lose. Going to make this happen, mate. And then I'm going to fight in January against Ilia Topuria. What? I don't know if were we talking about this on Wednesday, Rick? Who's done this as champion? Who's done this on short notice with this kind of legacy? Has anyone done this in recent UFC history? Short notice like this? I think I remember you saying something.
No, we were talking about just the circumstances around it. It was Rockhold giving Bisping the opportunity, right?
That's right.
We're now you're talking about, has anybody been in Alexander Volkanovski's shoes? And that, I think, is a harder one to come by.
It's unbelievable with his like esprit, with his demeanor going into it.
Beyond that, I think what was very interesting in what he said there was the idea that everybody thinks I have nothing to lose. But I know if I don't win this fight, I don't get an opportunity. I've wanted this rematch, so I'm coming into it with everything to lose. And I think that's a really interesting perspective, and I agree with him. Like, 10 days notice or not, if he loses this fight, he's probably not going to get another shot at Islam. Maybe he gets another shot at lightweight belt at some point, but he's probably not going to get another shot at Islam. So, like, the idea that, like, this is like whatever, Volk has nothing to lose is false, and I like that he has that mentality. And also, he's like, yeah, I'll turn around in January and I'll fight Ilia Topuria, whatever.
Crazy.
Like, he's one of him and Israel Adesanya. We continue to kind of point this out. Those are the two that have been there whenever the UFC needed them most, and just continue to be active and deliver.
GCS, right now, what are the odds? He is the underdog, right?
Yes. Minus 250 Islam Makhachev, Volkanovski plus 205.
It probably wasn't that close going into the February fight a week out.
I don't believe so. I can get you the exact line from that one right now.
But I would imagine not, just because it was such a close fight. I love his confidence. I mean, a lot of fighters have said this before. You don't have to, you don't have to strain your body, your mind, 2-3 month camp, sometimes longer, right? I mean, look what Paulo Costa just did. They've been talking about this fight for months, and look what happened to him. He gets injured, 2 weeks before. And so there's something about being the fresh guy now. Like, let's not forget, Islam is incredibly talented and incredibly tough, and has earned the respect and the status that he currently holds. But he's been going through a training camp, and so there's maybe something. Now, we also should say that Volk is coming off of surgery, and there's some recovery that comes with that. But to just jump in there, apply it to your daily life. If you're sitting on something for 2-3 months, as opposed to, you find out 10 days before, 11 days before, you haven't gone through several weeks of stress, of physical pain, mental pain, all that stuff. There is something to that. I mean, look at the Bisping fight, right? He takes the fight on 2 weeks' notice. He was out filming a movie. He goes and gets a call in Toronto, goes for a run, and then he shocks the world. So there are great examples of the guy who takes the fight on short notice, pulling off the upset, so to speak. There aren't a ton of examples of the champion taking a position like this. And I understand why people say, nothing to lose, only because if he loses, he's still the champion, right? He's still the featherweight champion. But look how much February bothered him. Look how much that ate him inside. Like I feel like this excites him more because he is truly one of those guys who wants to make history, who wants to be remembered as one of the greats, not just kind of sit on the belt and take 6 months off, 8 months off. Like, you know, the way he can do that as a featherweight is by being active. But now with the opportunity to be a double champion and beat a guy like Islam and then defend both belts, that separates him from everyone else. So he's gotten this great opportunity. And he was crushed in February. He was absolutely, I mean, he was devastated. You saw it. He spoke to us. He was crushed. Now he gets a chance to right the wrong. And he gets to do it in dramatic fashion. It's not technically Islam's hometown. He is from, you know, Makhachkala in Dagestan. But one suspects that he will be, you know, the fan favorite. It will be a pro-Islam crowd, if only because it is a Muslim country. He is a proud Muslim, and there's you know, a lot of fans there that love him and Khabib, Khamzat, etc. So one suspects Alex is not going to be the fan favorite, but I feel like that Abu Dhabi crowd as well, because it is neutral, it's not in Russia, will appreciate what Alex is doing, especially because he saved the main event. I mean, we talked about on Wednesday, Mateus Gamrot understanding that, you know, Alex versus Islam is just a much bigger deal. And I think they would have been happy with Islam versus Mateus Gamrot. This makes it a gigantic deal. This makes it must-see TV. This is fascinating theater. I love this shit. And people did bring up, you know, this is the big difference between the UFC and boxing, and that is true. The UFC right now has a plethora of options if things go awry, and it has been a while since we've had one of these situations. They used to happen all the time. It's been a while since, you know, one of these pay-per-views fell apart late in the build-up, and they've had to call an audible. Boxing just doesn't have, and the promotions in boxing just don't have that kind of depth. Dillian White is out of the Anthony Joshua fight. There's not many options. Conor Benn is out of the Chris Eubank fight. There's not many options. If Ryan Garcia would have had to pull out of the Tank Davis fight, there's no options. You know what I mean? And so that's the beauty. That's why people love the UFC. And that's the UFC in particular. I mean, because, you know, their roster is the best by far in MMA. So I can't wait. This is going to be a lot of fun. Let's go back to this weekend. GC, you listened to what I had to say. And, of course, still to come, Rey Mysterio and Darren Till and Michelle Pereira. And there's the USADA and Saudi Arabia situation that I want to talk about as well. But did you enjoy the trip? I didn't get a chance. I said I was going to ask you, and I went on a long diatribe there. Did you enjoy the trip?
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way of really properly stating it. I loved it. Everything about it. I mean, just the culture in England, the people of Manchester, absolutely beautiful town, beautiful people there. It was amazing. It was an incredible experience. The arena was on fire while the fights weren't necessarily on fire. The arena itself was on fire. So much singing, so much chanting, absolutely packed to the gills from the start of the main card. It was fantastic. Could not have been happier with the.
I think you liked it more than you expected. Is that even possible?
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. Like I was like almost like on a high walking around Manchester.
You were on cloud nine. You were walking up and down Tesco, just looking at all the options.
You say that like.
No, I'm not joking.
I really didn't realize how difficult it is to put together a meal deal. The meal deal is like the amount of options you have is endless. And I mean, we're talking £3.90 or £3 90 pence. You know, still working on the terminology.
Sure.
I mean, it's a great deal. I do have a picture of what I ended up with. Maybe I don't. No, here it is. Here we go. I went Chicken Club. Wow. Blue Spark super smoothie and a dairy milk caramel.
And overall,
sandwich is good. Smoothie was great. Chocolate's fantastic. Sandwich was all right. I mean, look at these options behind me. I mean, there's a lot to choose from. It was.
Who did you ask to take that picture?
A little creative secret here.
Oh,
I had to put it on a shelf.
Oh my God!
Between things, it was quite embarrassing. I actually asked the guy to take a picture,
and he said no.
No. He took it, but it wasn't very good, and he laughed at me pretty hard too. So
okay,
it was an embarrassing thing.
You didn't mean mug anyone that walked in front of the camera while you were setting that up, did you?
No. I actually looked both ways and like made sure no one was around.
Proper way to do that.
Please.
Well done.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna catch some flack because I'm wearing a Man U.
Oh my God.
And I'm wearing a Man City hat now. I just support the city of Manchester.
Sure.
NCR is special to me. I hope both clubs do well.
Yes, that is a big fashion faux pas.
Oh yeah, everyone's been giving me shit for it.
Any Christian Eriksen shout outs?
A lot of Christian Eriksen shout outs. So much so I was actually at Old Trafford and I had a stranger take my photo, and then I took some stranger's photo, and they were speaking broken English. I don't believe it was their native language, and they asked to take a picture with me. I was head to toe Man U stuff at that point. I had no idea why they asked to take a picture with me, but they seemed really excited about it. I'm 50-50 on if they thought I was actually Christian Eriksen or not. I was like, you want a picture with me? They're like, of course, please. I was like, all right, yeah, sure. And like we were dapped up doing it. It was, I think they might have thought I was Christian Eriksen.
New York Rick, what did you make of my assessment of the last two fights? Agree, disagree?
No, completely agree. I mean, I've said it in the lead up. I said it since. If you came to that event looking for the pinnacle of combat sports, if you were looking for the highest level of athletic competition that you could find, you took a wrong turn somewhere. Like that was not what that event was about. I don't understand the like searching for answers right now of like, how could these fights be so bad? Or how could the performances, like Dylan Dennis, Tommy Fury, KSI, and Logan Paul cannot box. They're not good boxers. Like, what is the confusion? I'm not understanding what is uncertain about this or what is confusing about this or what is still mysterious about this. Like, what was Dylan Dennis's game plan going to look like in a best case scenario? Was he going to go out there and be Floyd Mayweather? Like, how far was that from what you were expecting going in? It wasn't far from what I was expecting. So yeah, I don't understand. I'm kind of at a loss, to be honest, on what was expected out of the final two fights.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to say. Clearly, by some people's tweets, they were expecting Hagler Hearns. I think the one guy, like, it's interesting that you include Tommy in that discussion.
Yeah, he's not a good boxer. I like, if you can just barely beat KSI and Jake Paul, you're not a good boxer.
Is it okay? And because I see a lot of, like, the big criticism was that I was harder on him than I was on KSI. Is it wrong? Shoot straight with me. Is it wrong to hold him to a higher standard because of the fact that he is the Fury boxer? We know who KSI is. He's a guy who was, not doing this 2-3 years ago, and he's a rapper, and like, I can't hold him to the same standard. And so I saw something out of Tommy in February. I saw none of that in Manchester on Saturday night. I saw none of that. I mean, I really thought that was a dreadful performance, and I don't know how else to sugarcoat it. And I know you could say it takes two to tango. Yeah, it was not a good fight. As I said on the air, on the broadcast of the pay-per-view, it was an unwatchable fight. But I feel like I hold him to a higher standard just because I expect more from him because he is the traditional boxer. And when the traditional boxer is fighting down to the competition, that's a problem. That's not a good look.
I don't think it's unfair to point that out in analysis. I do think it's unfair because he's not a good boxer. Like, you're holding him to a standard he's never going to live up to. And you can roll back that. I mean, do I need to remind you how long I've been saying Tommy Fury is not a good boxer? Like,
well, you've also been saying he's not a star. He's not a draw.
Yeah, he's not. Dylan Dennis sold more tickets to that show and drew more people in on pay-per-view, and he can't box either. But he did more than Tommy. I'll say this. Tommy gave a good effort fight week. I felt the intensity between him and KSI. Yeah. He did a decent job. But let's not be confused about what that was. Like, Dylan Dennis and Logan Paul stole.
They sold the show. They sold their thing was bigger. In fact, what kind of drives me nuts about Tommy is that he is selling this, and he's talking about all the stuff that he's going to kill influencer boxing, all this. He's benefiting just as much as everyone else. In fact, you can make a case he's benefiting more than everyone else, if only because Logan, KSI, they don't need this, right? Like, they're wealthy without this. He's coming along for the ride, and then he keeps talking about killing it, and then he keeps talking about he's better than it, but then he keeps talking about, in the same breath, oh, I'll do it again, I'll do this and that. It's like he's a walking contradiction. And it does my head in, as they say.
I have not been interested in Tommy Fury as an influencer boxing staple before Jake Paul fighting Anthony Taylor. After Saturday. I am still not interested in Tommy Fury as an influencer boxing staple. He's just good enough to squeak by influencer boxers as somebody who has the Fury last name and has been training for longer than they've been doing anything in their lives. And he's just squeaking by and giving performances that is nothing to write home about. Go be a boxer. Not interested.
I
Not
couldn't
interested.
agree more. Couldn't agree more. What'd you make of Dylan?
The game plan had a lot to be desired, right? Like, obviously, there was.
Was it the game plan or the
We're just
execution of the game
assuming.
plan?
We're just assuming that like he wanted to tire out Logan Paul.
No.
In reality,
Plinio told me in the middle. Did you hear that?
okay.
He texted me in the middle of the broadcast saying the game plan was tire him out for the first 2 rounds and then unload the clip in the
Sure.
3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. He didn't do that.
If that is the game plan, well, I mean, is he not capable of that? And I'm perfect. Look, I said, did I say it on Wednesday? I said on Wednesday that I was going to bet on Dylan Dennis. And I said, when I said I was going to bet on Dylan Dennis, please do not confuse this as an endorsement of Dylan Dennis and his boxing skills. I don't think Dylan Dennis can box. Never did, still don't. I mean, the performance was very clear. But I don't think Logan Paul can box either. And I don't know, his performance didn't blow me away. Like, there's a certain kernel of truth to Dylan Dennis saying, like, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. I got in there. You said you're going to kill me. All this stuff that I talked about your wife. And I'm kind of like, fine. There's a certain kernel of truth to that. Like, no mistake. None of these guys are great boxers. I don't think Dylan Dennis is capable of turning it up in 3, 4, 5, 6. I think Dylan Dennis is an MMA fighter at his ceiling, a really, really good jiu-jitsu player, probably more so than an MMA fighter. And that's what it is. For him to get in there and box, like, I did not have higher expectations than that. And that's as somebody who was willing to put money on Dylan Dennis because of how I do not feel Logan Paul is a good boxer. And if you're going to give me 4.5 to 1 on the guy who kind of fights for a living, I'll take it. But I did not have wildly different expectations of Dylan Dennis than what we saw. Like, that's okay. That was kind of it. Would I have liked to see him throw more punches? Sure. But am I sitting here going, how could he look this way? Oh my God, Dylan Dennis looked like that? I mean, what did you expect? Like, this is how Dylan Dennis was going to look in a boxing ring.
The fascinating thing about it all is the aftermath where people say, like, I can't believe this, I can't believe that, I can't believe we fell for it. And here's the one thing that you can't deny. Good, bad, ugly. He was able to capture people's attention, especially online, right? Like his tweet, he was at like 200,000, then he went to 1 million followers. So that captivated people. And there's a lot of people who didn't know who he was who now know who he is, right? He's going to be on Piers Morgan tonight, apparently, to talk about it. Like, Dylan Dennis, I still don't know the names of the 2 guys that he fought in Bellator, right? So that's a crazy thing. That is a crazy thing, how far he's taken this. Now I think if I were, guiding him, we need to pivot. We need to get off the Nina and Logan train. And we need to but he's not yet. We need to use this newfound fame, whatever you want to call it, to our advantage. And, I see people reacting to me saying Misfits should, think about keeping him around. Why wouldn't they? Like, is Dylan Dennis that much worse than, B. Dave? No, there's appropriate matchups for him, and he's clearly someone who can get people talking. Did his credibility take a shot? Yes. Did it get hurt? Yes. But against maybe someone lesser than him. That being said, I don't feel like there is within me, I'm speaking for myself, a strong desire to watch him box anymore. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. Jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, is gaining more and more attention. And I was talking to Gordon Ryan, like, there's money to be made now. To me, it should be a jiu-jitsu / MMA life for him.
Yeah.
And that's it. He was but like, spare me the after the fact. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have this. And he's getting mad that I said, it's like, I think he did a great job, and I told him he did a great job, and he to a degree carried this whole thing and made it much bigger than it was. But you can't say after the fact. You can't say leading up to it, I am boxing and I'll knock this guy out, I'll knock that guy, and then you lose and say, well, I'm just a jiu-jitsu guy with no team, no coach, no training. Come on. I hate when we do this. Nate did this too.
Nate did this.
Yes.
I was just about to say, and I'm okay with that. If he's running Nate's game plan, I'm okay with that. Run it. That's fine.
Just be honest.
It works. It works for Nate. Why doesn't it work for Dylan?
It doesn't. What?
It works for Nate. The number of people who posted about how a failed guillotine in a boxing match was him winning the fight was astronomical. So yeah, it works. It definitely
That was a bit of a
works.
laugh. The problem was that happened 2 months ago, and he tried to do the exact same thing.
I was gonna say I feel like Dylan was hoping to have that moment for himself in the fight.
Did you just change? What's going on?
I just want to make sure I'm playing
Okay,
both
okay,
sides. You
sorry.
know? A couple of men City, they hit me up and they were like, take that hat off right now. I was like, okay, I'll switch
Every
back.
time we cut to you, you must be wearing something else.
We might have something else.
Sorry,
in
keep
the
going, keep
works.
going.
I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
So you were
Yes,
saying how Dylan tried
Yes,
that.
I felt like Dylan came in and was almost just like, yeah, I'm not going to win the fight. He's going to be able to outbox me. Let me try and have my Nate Diaz moment, create some chaos, and try and move on with my life. And as far as the excuses, like, I mean, that's just going to happen in this scene. Like, it just always happens. When Jake lost to Tommy Fury, he was sick a couple times and he pulled his shoulder or whatever. KSI was obviously.
I'm
upset
okay
after
with
he was
that.
like,
That's like I
Dylan-
broke my hand, this and that. I'm okay with that. But to say I didn't have a team, I didn't have a coach, like that's on you.
I didn't prepare well enough.
Dylan-
essentially.
That's on you. Yes.
Why does Dylan have to take accountability? I don't think he does. I think
right.
he's perfectly fine to not.
Yeah, honestly, the whole thing is so dumb.
It's such
and
a
so
farce.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like,
The whole
it
thing is so
really
ridiculous.
Is like,
does
I
my-
guess I guess to play
gives me a
devil's
headache.
advocate, just
Please.
like just a little bit of devil's advocate on people that are disappointed.
Hmm.
These people, and you said this to me, like they're so good at selling the fight. Like it gets people interested. Like Dylan was able to capture an audience. Like I feel like they do such a good job of selling the fight and getting people excited for it and getting this interest. And then when you get to the fight, it's just like such a letdown.
There is no
especially
fight.
the last two.
Buyer's remorse.
Like-
They have buyer's
yes,
remorse.
like
They
a-
bought it and then they.
I mean, the best tweets were, I illegally streamed this and I still want my money back. Like, it was like, I mean, the last two fights were just so, they were so boring. The whole main card, essentially, other than the Dean the Great fight and Waleed Sharks and the Soul Poppy one, it was just all snooze fest.
I think that's a great point. It definitely feels like buyer's remorse. I'm all for somebody saying, I paid for that. I'm disappointed. Maybe I didn't get my money's worth. Once we start trying to act like this is a competitive product to a UFC card and act like these are the same thing and act like, well,
Why do we
can't-
do that? Why do people do
why
that?
are you watching this instead of UFC? Like as if these are not completely separate things. It'd be akin to like, why are you eating a hamburger when you could be eating a piece of chicken? Well, I kind of like both. Like I'm gonna eat the hamburger now, and I'll probably eat the chicken another time. Like they are not mutually exclusive. You do not have to only watch UFC and not be allowed to watch UFC or Bellator or whatever because you watch this, and vice versa. You are not subject to only caring about influencer boxing. You can also like UFC. It's okay, people out there, for you to have different things in your life and different tastes. I did not have any expectation that this was going to be the pinnacle of combat sports. It was a fun enough event. The crowd seemed awesome. And that's it. Like,
And that's it.
it doesn't have to be larger
But
than
do you know
that.
what I'm
It
talking
really
about? The
doesn't.
sanctimonious tweets
Oh,
afterwards.
there.
What? Yes. The amount of people that, like, as soon as the event ended that I saw were just like, thank God I didn't watch any of that or I didn't give a single dime to that crap. Like, now it's back to Tenera Lisboa at the UFC Apex. Now we can really get back to business here. Like, it's just like, dude, it's fun. It's dumb. Yes, the fights were incredibly disappointing, but, like, it also isn't that serious.
By the way, nobody is forcing you to care. You do not have to care.
Well, one thing I will say, I do not care about this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I will say, like, now to play devil's advocate to defend those people. Each time one of these happens, my like interest and excitement for it keeps going down, and it's just like, how many times can I tune in?
But you know what?
and be
We're
like,
not
But
the
yeah, that's
audience.
fine.
We're not the audience. We're the ones who are parachuting in because there's an MMA connection. You know, it's
That's
Jake
true.
versus the MMA. It's not for us. Like it's for the people who know who Jarvis is. You know what I mean? It's for the people who know who Alex Wasabi is. It's not for us. We didn't know who he was. Just like I didn't really even know who Jake and Logan were before they became boxers. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know about their Vine careers. I've been very honest about that. First time I ever spoke to Jake, he DM'd me and saying, you keep calling me Jake or me Logan, like you know what I mean? It was Abby Subban who told me about the KSI Logan.
Shout out. I love Abby.
The man. He told me about the first one. He was like, my son is all into this. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. Their first fight in Manchester. So I don't think this is for us. It's interesting when one of our own goes over there, but this train is going to roll along without us. And what kind of drives me nuts is when like the MMA community, you know, I hate these terms that we use now. gaslighting. People don't even know what that means. Woke. People hardly even know what that means. Virtue signaling. But to a degree, that is what they are doing. They are trying to virtue signal and be like, this is such an indictment. Boxing. This is another example why boxing is dead. Yeah. Were you staying up to watch Tim 2 in Australia on Saturday on Showtime Boxing? You know shit about it. You don't watch it. You don't follow it. Were you watching Lee Wood? Uh,
Okay,
Shut
but
the fuck up with your takes on the state of boxing and how this is ruining boxing. It's its own separate fucking thing. It's its own separate fucking thing. And if you can't recognize that, and if you are comparing it to actual traditional boxing or mixed martial arts, you're the clown, not the ones who are like, I know exactly what I was doing. I know exactly what I was watching. I know exactly what I signed up for. I'm sorry if you didn't recognize that. And for the people who are saying, why did you say this beforehand? I didn't think I had to. There's a reason why I call it crossover boxing or influencer boxing. You see the way I talk about Dylan Dennis going into this fight. You see the way we talk about Tommy Fury on this show going into this fight. When have I said that KSI is some, generational talent? Fuck out of here. Don't change the narrative on us just because it didn't mesh with what you thought this was going to be. We knew exactly what this was. It's like someone told me before I got married. He said, someone who was trying to convince me not to get married, a friend of mine. He's like,
Oh,
look,
interesting. Okay.
yeah. So he was like, look, you eat a lot of chicken your whole life. At some point, you're gonna want some steak.
Oh.
That's what you want to hear. You want to hear that sizzle. You want to hear the vegetables hit the hot. It's really staring at that guy right here. Pastry crust. First thing for your filling, you have to get beautiful ingredients. Anyone that knows Jamaican cuisine is really staring at that guy right here, the Scotch bonnet. Right, so let's start getting into it. Jamaican cuisine is all about bold flavors, really bold flavors. We like it spiced up, not say heat, but it's really deep depth of flavor. So a cool trick to peel your ginger is just use a spoon, peel it off. Doesn't really have to be perfect. Just want to get most of that skin off. Get your onion ready. Then your ginger. The green onions, or we call it scallions, a little bit of fresh thyme. And then my favorite, the Scotch bonnet. If you can't find Scotch bonnet, you can do habaneros, which will give you a similar heat, but not so much as a flavor, because Scotch bonnet has a very unique, fruity, forward flavor to it. We call it country pepper. That's a bit of Jamaican accent for you. And see that? I wish you could smell it. I love my patty. It's not super spicy, but it's burning in your mouth. You want to really taste the beef. People like it really hot, but for me, I like it in a mild region where you're really enjoying it. Garlic. So we'll get a food processor. Onion goes in. Ginger, scallion, thyme, and garlic. You want it slightly chunky because you want this to cook and blend with the beef. So while you're doing that, oh my God. Like no joke, this smells amazing. This is like I'm getting very emotional cooking this right now, right? This will bring back memories of my kitchen. So let's season up with some paprika and of course allspice. So this will definitely add that Jamaican authentic flavor to it. Onion powder and garlic powder. It does give you a unique flavor when you have the fresh and pretty much a dehydrated powdered form. I like it that way, and that's how we do it in Jamaica as well. In Jamaica, a lot of people don't really make patties at home because it takes a lot of time. But my grandmother was such an amazing cook. She always wanted to make everything from scratch. So even as young as 4 or 5, I'll make like fresh patties. Going to school, we used to purchase a lot of patties for lunch. So it's like the quintessential street food that's just it's like every day you can eat for breakfast, lunch, party. This filling, as you can see, it resembles like a jerk kind of a consistency with how dark it looks. This is just like a flavor bomb right here. This can be used for anything at all. So you can minus the beef, you can do tofu, you can do callaloo, we do a lot of callaloo in Jamaica. You can do whatever seasonal vegetables that's there. You want to get your pan up to like medium-high heat, not too hot because you don't want to burn your vegetables. Hit it with a little bit of oil. So you want to saute your vegetables. That takes like 2 or 3 minutes just to get those flavors going. And then you want to get amazing fresh beef. That is 85% lean versus 15% of fat. You just want to gently bring it up so it cooks with the seasoning, and there's the Jamaica you have. And so this is called browning, and pretty much just caramel like delicious straight up the pastry, right? To give it the deep sweet. If you don't know what it is, it's the same flavor. A little. That's why we're not allowed to double dip, or else I would have gotten another mouthful. So let's onto the dough. You want to portion this into smaller balls, roughly around 4 or 5 ounces per patty. You want to fold your dough onto itself, because once you fold the fat in between the layers of the flour, you create that pocket where the fat is trapped, and once you bake it, it expands and it creates a multiple layer. Patty was born through Cornish pasty. That's like a traditional English meat pie. When the British came to Jamaica, colonized Jamaica, they brought over a lot of traditions. Patty is just one of those things that we took from the English and we made it our own. That's how we got our Jamaican patty. And then it is now the most famous, beloved street food in Jamaica, if not the Caribbean. Well, I say the world, but I'm kind of biased. Excellent, so we're almost there. So our dough, as you can see, beautiful color, thanks to the turmeric and the curd powder, and you can see the chunks of fat lining through the dough. So that's where you're gonna get your perfect flakes from, and it's nice and thin, not so much that it's gonna break or fall apart. Crimp the edges, and your filling again, amazing. So it's nice and chilled. So you wanna keep it closer towards you. So when you fold it over, it gives you that perfect pocket. Pinch your edges. Boom, boom, boom. Your patty, they're ready to go. So you have to bake them in a preheated oven at 375 for like 20-25 minutes. Our patties are done. Just wanna break into that so you can see that beautiful filling. All right, ooh, it's falling out. You can see it's crispy. You can see that flake, that crust. All right, look at that.